Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 50-50 cast hosted by Bop, MoneyGo, and I, Melekiym. It is a wonderful day here on the east side of the states, but we have with us someone from a place very, very far away across the earth, Mr. Greybeard. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fabulous, and it's midnight where I am, but I'm always up for any opportunity to spread the gospel of SSA Rocket League. So I am genuinely thrilled to be here with you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a wonderful day. I mean, Bob, money. I mean, it's about to be time to go to work here because we have an interesting slate of topics. I mean, money. I mean, Bob. First of all, how you guys doing today as well?
Yeah, Bob, go ahead.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We got a lot to talk about today. So much has happened within like the past week or two regarding RLCS. Literally, it's been insane. So yeah, I'm excited for this cast.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Looking forward to seeing what everyone's got to say. Looking forward to hearing what Greybeard has to say as well. And yeah, it should be a fun podcast.
All right, Bob. If you kind of want to take us in about this new rule that they kind of introduced to Rocket League esports.
Man, it's interesting. So I mean, something we've never seen before is that people from any region in the world can now compete literally in any region. Doesn't matter where you live, doesn't matter what country you're from, doesn't matter how much ping you get. You can sign up for any region anywhere. And so that has honestly been insane. I thought like maybe it wouldn't affect it that much. But of course, Greybeard, I mean, you could talk about, you made a tweet earlier today talking about how many teams have actually entered SSA. It's like almost half the teams, I believe, right?
It's 30% of our signups are from outside the region. So we've had just over 100 team signups, which has to be said, it's the highest it's ever been. Even if we take out the non-SSA teams, the number of SSA teams is higher than it's ever been. But in total, yeah, it's about 30%, which I'm pretty sure we're the most affected region with regard to that rule.
Dang.
Jesus Christ.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's
Crazy
fun.
So how do you think?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you think that's gonna shake up the region then, with that extra 30%?
Well, you know what? When we realized this late, when the rules came out and registrations opened, I went through the rules and I thought this was going to be very positive for SSA. And then someone pointed this fact out, like, hold on a second, there's no region lock. You can sign up from any region. And I was so upset. I was close to packing up everything and like, I'm out of here. This is just like the end of the world. I was that upset about it. And I actually wrote to a few people and I said, this might finally break me. And then I was like, hold on a second, sleep on it and just think clearly, and don't respond emotionally. And it's taken me a number of days to think through it. And honestly, I think we're probably going to experience some short-term pain. Because I think it is going to be difficult for certainly our mid to lower tier teams. But in the long term, I think mingling with a greater number of EU players, we're going to have EU people coming into our ranked servers. And I think overall, it's going to force us to become better quicker, far quicker than having one team going to a major every couple of months and then Worlds. Maybe this will help speed us up. So I have convinced myself, and I say this acknowledging that I tend to see the world through rose-tinted glasses. So, but I have convinced myself that in the long term, this is going to be very good for us.
Okay, like there have been a couple of actually decent bit of announcements. What are they like? I saw the sheet that you guys put in this morning on your stream, or it was 31 non-SSA teams and 70 teams from SSA. Check this. There are a lot of different teams coming in competing, mostly from EU. I think there was one or two from MENA. There are a couple from NA, but the notable ones are from EU. There is let me think. There's Riho, Nugget, and Motion, which is actually a really good team in Europe. That is a team that could contend for like the top 32 range in Europe. That is a really good team. And they're also coming to North America. They're going to SSA rather, and then there's another one called Drift Queens. which has 2 Portuguese and a German on that roster that are also gonna try and make a pretty good run. So, Greybeard, coming to you actually, where do you kind of think these teams are gonna kind of rank and place throughout SSA this season?
Well, firstly, I got to say the interesting thing about Drift Queens is that it's 2 Portuguese, whatever it is, but one of the EU players is actually a South African who moved to Portugal about a year ago. So he is from the region, but playing from Europe, which is kind of weird. But I need to. I was streaming earlier, and a number of people were asking, like, "Hey, what are your predictions?" It is so hard to know because I don't know a lot about the teams that are playing. I've been told by a number of people that Young Money Clan, which is the roster you just mentioned of Rihu and Motion and Nugget, I've been told by a number of people that they are really good and could potentially land up going to the major representing SSA, which will be bizarre. But so and then there's another team, a Dutch team that have actually moved to SSA. They've moved to Reunion Island. So they are an EU team. They are around 2K team. But won't have the ping disadvantage. So it's very hard to know. So I think I'm going to have a much better idea after the qualifying weekend, the double elimination this coming weekend. I'll have a sense of where we stand because I just don't know how well these EU guys are going to cope with the ping disadvantage and if they're going to be that good on that high ping.
Yeah, that's understandable. It's understandable. One question I had, obviously we've seen the past year or two in NA with EU teams coming here, EU players coming here. There's always been the debate whether or not, for example, Genji, were they an NA team or an EU team? There's always that debate. People always have fun with that. So I guess for you, Greybeard, let's say a non-SSA team does represent SSA at majors and possibly worlds as well. Would you still consider them an SSA team or no? What do you think?
If I'm 100% honest, I don't know at this point. I went to the London major. I flew out for the major in Rotterdam, and then I flew out for Worlds. And with SSA going, I was planning to go to every single major. I'm not sure if I can even justify going to a major if a non-SSA team is representing SSA. I honestly don't know. It's going to break my heart, but maybe I need to look for and find the advantages, the benefits, the plus side. So right now I'm a little emotional on that subject. So I don't know, but it would be really bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know because I could see both sides of if they're technically an SSA team or not because they are competing in the region. But I'd say that they're not simply because during anytime that's not RLCS, they're probably playing on their region servers. If they're from EU, they're probably playing ranked on EU servers. They might be scrimming other EU teams. So I don't think I could say that they're technically an SSA team.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Myself personally, how I was able to even get my mom into watching some of these RLCS matches is because she's Zimbabwean and she wants to see Sub-Saharan Africa be represented all over the place. And we were watching the 21-22 World Championship together, and she sees all these guys from Sub-Saharan Africa. She's like, wow, this is actually really cool that they're representing. They won a series. I think it was against Gaming Gladiators and Commutator.
Correct.
It was like, wow, we were watching that together. It was a really cool moment. But if you're going to have another team from somewhere else come in and then take your major spot, the individual major spot that you have, it feels a little weird at the very least. I don't think you could, that's just representing your region. That's representing whatever region that they're coming from, in my opinion. So, but either way,
Well, you know what? It is hard. It is difficult, but this is the world we live in now. Last season it was all a debate about what counts as residency. If you go to, if people came here on a holiday visa, could they play in RLCS? Now all of that is irrelevant. And I think what I'm preaching in SSA is the quicker we adapt to the new paradigm, the new way that RLCS is, the quicker we can improve, we can adapt, we can find ways to succeed. We can't whine about it, but that's what I mean by short-term pain. And look, I've got a lot of faith in Limitless. That this is the team that's won, 85% of all the regionals since we've been included in RLCS. So I've got faith that they can rise to the occasion and beat out the EU teams. But let's say they don't. That's the pain I'm talking about, the pain of non-SSA players representing the region at majors and worlds. But I do believe we've got to use this season to get as good as we can, as quickly as we can, because all we have to do is raise our skill level to the point where it's not worth the ping disadvantage for these teams to come and play here. Yeah, they can come and maybe they get $100 or whatever, but for the better teams, it's like, you know what? Let's try our luck in EU rather. So that's what I mean by the long-term benefit. I think we get that improved skill level over time, but we may have to suffer this season of watching non-SSA people say, hey, we're SSA champions.
Right. Nah, I mean, something that Gigantic, I hope I said that correctly, I'm so sorry. What he said in the chat was, wouldn't you want the better team representing your region? And I think that's also something else that was always a conversation when I think True Neutral moved to America. And if it's like, if they can come in and dominate America, that is a better team. They got picked up by Complexity. They went to the fall major. They took the major spot. I feel like the difference is here, there's only one major spot for SSA. But the question is, Gray, wouldn't you want the better team representing your region? That's what he's asking.
Look, I speak as, my role in the SSA Rocket League community is to do everything I can to improve the Rocket League scene for SSA players. So for me, it's not about some foreign team being a strong team for SSA. I know these players. I know just about every single player that's coming out there to represent the region. I know their struggles. I know what they're going through. I know their grind. And what I want, I don't want some English player having success. I want to see the guys that have grinded here for years being on the world stage. That for me is success for this region. So I can understand the argument being made, but it's not about the nebulous title of SSA. For me, it's about the individual players that have bled their heart into this game, getting recognition and success at the highest level. So that's what's important to me. So yes, I want the strongest team representing the region that comes from the region.
Hallelujah and amen.
Yeah, preach right there, preach. Wow.
Nah, that's what I've been actually voting for. Like the strongest team that comes from that region. That's my personal opinion as well. But there are a lot of hard things that go into that topic. Everything's just so complicated for some reason. Okay. Also, what about something that also is going to affect a lot of regions is potentially minor regions not not yet have officially been confirmed to stream, but if it's true and the rumors true, that means minor regions will not be having mainstream or stream funding from RLCS this season. And if so, that puts us back a couple years.
Yeah, Greybeard, do you know anything about that? Like, have you heard anything about regions getting streams?
Okay, so these are the rumors, and I've heard it on Lawler's stream. I've heard a couple of people mention it on my stream, and there was Bop. I think you retweeted something from Hazza, where one of the Sam admins leaked something, and then they did some emergency try and repair things on Twitter. But just tying all of those together, it seems to me like North America and EU are the only regions that are going to have official broadcasts, which is I understand that all of this RLCS is about recalibrating, that the old too much money was being spent, it was unsustainable, so we need to scale it back. And yes, I will agree, the talent pool was way bloated. 21 22 talent pool is madness for a niche. I think that's bigger than like CSGO and these others, so I understand that. But surely your biggest asset in helping grow an esport is is broadcasting it. So I don't understand the thinking of cost cutting to that degree, something that's going to promote it. So, but you know what? I haven't been to these meetings. There's obviously been high level meetings. Clever people, we hope, have had conversations and they've said this is the way to go. So I understand it's going to be devastating for Sam, for MENA, for OCE, for APAC. For SSA, we've never had an official broadcast. We have broadcast 2 full seasons of RLCS with 0 budget. It is actually quite bizarre. If I think about working as a caster, I have never been paid for the Rocket League premier event. And it's madness. But we know how to put on a broadcast for free. And we have an army, a community that is so dedicated to this that we will put on an exceptional broadcast for nothing.
Wow, that's actually incredible. I didn't even know you guys weren't funded at all. Like, I've watched a few streams. I've seen you and Pyro on the cast, and I didn't even know it wasn't funded at all. It looks really good. Wow.
Well, you know what? I thank you for noticing that. And yeah, that's all done by volunteers, people doing it for free.
Yeah, no, so shout out to the guys down in SSA making the community broadcast work because they look really professional too.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, can y'all look? He said, yeah, casters in SSA don't get paid. There's no way. Yeah, no. Can you believe that? I mean, when ROCS came out, and they kind of left SSA out of that. And I remember I was seeing everyone's reaction down there, like that should not be happening. And also around the same time that SSA brought in, and they didn't get the major spots for the first 2 seasons. It felt really weird to me because it's like every single region in your esport should be represented in person at every single esport funded that in-person event whenever. And it felt really weird, but finally things turn around this season, but as well the format also took a interesting turn as people thought, okay, we're kind of, or as people got used and said, okay, we're kind of okay with the format. We go ahead, we look down in South America, and we see what in the world is brewing down there with a whole bunch of roster just build up. It's a whole mainstream region down there. Like, look at the rosters. You got Crew, AJG, Bems, and Card, which is going to be a really good team to watch contend if they make a land, which I hope they do. Furia, Drufinho, Lost, and Yan, the best 3 players in South America. Well, never mind. We got Complexity down there now with CRR, Razebull, and Dorito. Kaio, Yan, and Drop. You've got Drop, Sad, and Clus. You got Astromic, Mata, and Swift, who's a really good 14, 15-year-old kid down there. Money, could I get your opinions on whatever is happening down here in South America? And they're just building a super region without us even noticing it.
Yeah, 2 land spots for this amount of teams, bro. I didn't even realize they were cooking like this. There's at least, like, I'm scrolling through these rosters that you said. All of these teams look like they're contenders. Obviously, you have to put Furia, Complexity as, like, the very top, but I could see some upset potential from at least, like, 3 or 4 of these rosters. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a solid like 7 or 8 rosters in like Sam that could genuinely make the majors, which is crazy. I've heard some people say like, yo, does Sam have more depth than NA now? Which I don't necessarily agree with, but I think it's getting close. I mean, Sam is making a good argument for being the 3rd best region right now, definitely between Mina and Sam. But like, yeah, I think like with like Complexity going there, I don't know if it was the right move or not. There's almost a chance they would have had a better chance at making majors in NA than Sam at this point with how stacked Sam is. But I think there were some visa issues.
Yeah,
but,
I think I was going to say the visa issues. Yeah. I think it was a choice forced on them.
Yeah, it's true. It's unfortunate for them because like you would think like, oh, they're going to like the weaker region so that it would be easier for them to make the major. But I think it's gonna be tough.
And wasn't CR stuck in Canada too for a little bit of that time when he was playing with Complexity?
I think so.
Also, I'm sorry. This is something we talked about last week or a week and a half ago. Remember the NAS situation where he's gonna have to fly from EU to North America back to EU every single week?
Mm-hmm.
And he's a 16-year-old that is still in school, and he's coming from EU to be. Do you think of the sacrifice that his family have to make individually to go through that entire grueling process every single weekend, it's actually ridiculous. The entire actually, where would he even be staying? Maybe in Canada or NA or whatever, but damn.
Yeah, I have no
Like
idea.
that entire situation is just wow.
That'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if he's able to play to the best of his ability, because like he's gonna be going back, because he's probably has a setup at home and he's gonna have a setup here in America or wherever he's gonna be staying. So like hopefully he's able to play to his best of his ability, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not 100%
Yo.
sure.
Sounds crazy.
Yeah.
One day says that Sam has more level than NA at this moment. No, they do not. let's shut down this entire debate that Sam has more depth than NA. No, they don't. Sam has more level than NA. No, they don't. Because Sam's teams are still really good. NA just has more depth, more consistency with the depth. Sam, I'm not gonna say they're top. I'm not gonna say they're a top heavy region anymore because of how much competition is down there now compared to in the other minor regions. But they're definitely leveling up with the consistency now because of how good their development is down there as well. North America is still, as a region, in terms of player depth, in terms of team depth, better than Sam. I think in terms of team depth, I think NA is better than EU2, which is a little bit more debatable in terms of team depth, not just top teams, because top teams EU is going to have that all day long. But I mean, what do we feel like, first of all, in terms of team depth between, if we're looking at some of these like top 6 rosters, do we think the top 6 rosters in NA could beat the top 6 rosters down in South America? Let's go with Bob.
I think more often than not, they would. I think like I would give it like 70-30 odds that like most of the time NA teams, like the top 6 would beat like Sam top 6. But I think like Furia and Complexity could very easily beat like pretty much every single NA team, and like the other ones as well have upset potential. So it's honestly it's really close. Like I think NA of course does have more depth, but towards the top it actually does get very close.
Bob, what do you think? I mean, Money, what do you think? I said Bob.
I don't know. I do agree with Bob, but I think I'm gonna lean a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna lean even more to NA, maybe like an 80-20. I'd give it to Furia Complexity, who already have like a lot of LAN experience. Maybe even which team was this? Oh, I've lost all of my tabs. The team with the team with Card, Card, AJG, and who's the third?
Yeah, Bems.
Yeah, Card, AJG, and Bems. I think they have some good upset potential as well. But overall, I think NA's got I think NA's got that. I think they have more depth in the top 6.
What do you think?
I'd like to make a comment just on depth by way of numbers. If we look at Sam, and I'm just I have too many tabs here, so I need to find I just need to find South America. So South America, as it stands now, have just shy of 400 teams signing up for RLCS. So that gives
that's good for them, honestly. Yeah.
I think it is good for them. I don't have anything to compare it to, but just based on what's happening in the rest of the world, I have no doubt that that's higher than normal. Then go to North America as it stands now, and there's still an hour and a half of registration left. 813 teams have signed up. There's a difference in depth right there. If we move to Europe, and I don't know, this is like an hour ago. I'm actually going to refresh this because as of an hour ago, they have 930 teams signed up. So just in terms of depth of player base, there is there. And yes, I know we get tunneled visioned and we look at the top 6 teams, but I think we're going to see, I believe we're going to start to see a shift in dynamic in terms of more players coming in, just because more are playing because they've got a crack at that $100. We might start to see superstars, people like for the future. But just given that fact, close to 1,000 teams in Europe, That depth is far outstripping an area like Sam. Sam blow my mind. They are doing so well considering how much exponentially smaller their player base have been. But I think they've got a ways to go before they're as good as North America or Europe. That's my comment on it.
And this actually brings us to the topic. Was widening the price pool the right thing to do for the esport, and how will it affect the esport? I mean, I want to go down to money. Was widening the prize pool the right thing to do? Also, like, look at the signups that we have, but at the same time, the top teams get less money as well, and it makes careers for some of the mid-table teams a little bit less sustainable.
Yeah, I think widening it, I think it makes sense, but I think they shouldn't have taken like so much off of the top. They took, what is it, almost 30% of the prize pool off first place. They took a few K off second, third, and fourth as well. So I think they could have widened it without taking like so much off the top. But I don't know. I think overall it's going to be healthy for the esport over the long term. And if they eventually can get the funding back up, I think it makes sense to like drop down and then slowly like raise it back up instead of continuing to decrease year after year. So I think it could work.
What do you think, Pop?
Yeah, I think I got like the same opinion there. Like, I think widening it is really good. With the numbers that we're seeing now, it's incredible. Like, I mean, I see in chat, who said it in chat? I think it was Juan, yeah, saying 1,000 French players signed up in EU. Like, there's like the depth that we're gonna see and like all this like new talent. It's incredible. It's incredible. I love to see it. Plus, I mean, like, it just gives people more opportunity to make a little bit of money. Like, I signed up, I'm trying to get that top 128, get that $100, you know. So it'll be fun. People are gonna be signing up for fun. More content's gonna happen. Overall, I think it's a good change. Do I think it was like, should they have done that much money? Maybe not, but overall, I think it's a good change. Yeah.
All right. What do you think about it?
Okay. Okay, here's my view. I think it is 100% a fantastic move. And if you consider it from, and you know, the biggest failure of Epic and Blast and all of that has been their lack of communication, bringing the community inside, like, okay, this is our vision, this is where we want to go. So we have to guess a little bit here. But when I look at the signups across the world, and every region is smashing records in the number of teams, a company like Blast, when they approach sponsors, brands, and say, we want you to get involved in Rocket League, to show that there's been a 25%, 30, 50% increase in the number of teams participating and playing, that is huge for them. And while I do believe very strongly that the top teams of North America and EU they have had the best time in the last 2 seasons. In 2 seasons that were great for Rocket League, but completely unsustainable. Now we have to build for the long-term future. For that, we need more viewers, more teams, more money, and we need more people being involved. So yeah, the top guys are going to take a hit, and it sucks for them, and I do empathize with that. But if we're bringing in 50% more players, more people are going to compete in RLCS this season than have ever done before. That is incredibly attractive to people who have vast amounts of money to support an esport like this. So in my opinion, it's a very positive move.
And so that also kind of shifts into, do we think the way that this season is going to be run, is this going to become the norm for RLCS? And if so, should it not? And how will it affect the esport? I'm going to start with Bob.
I think, like, assuming that we still have a lot of years left of RLCS, assuming that this is kind of like a transition year, I think they're still going to try a couple of things over like these next 2-3 years, you know, figure out like, do they want 3 majors, 2 majors? Like, are they going to change the formats and the splits? I think like this is more of a transition year. I think they're just trying stuff out, seeing, hopefully they're going to look at the community, see how the community reacts, see what we like, what we don't like, and then change it up in the future. I'm not like super confident in them, you know, I'm not like super optimistic, but I do hope that they see, you know, what works and then keep that, what doesn't work, and then change that for the future.
What do you think, Money?
Yeah, I don't have too much to add on top of that, but dude, I'm really hoping that they eventually switch up the formats again. I'm not too sure what the best strategy is, having like one single format the whole time. like even if it's the best format, I feel like especially with Rocket League having the same format, it gets repetitive. So I do want to see some new formats personally. But yeah, besides that, I think a lot of this stuff they're just gonna like keep improving on. I think that's the goal for them. But yeah, what about you, Greybeard? What do you think?
I think there is so much we don't know. You know, our only point of comparison for RLCS is the past. We can look at the last couple season and then pre-pandemic, and so much has changed that we just don't know. We have to see how it plays out. In fact, I was talking to the OCE regional manager today, and you know, everyone looks back at the open circuit of when did that end? 2018, 2019, whenever that was, and they're all like, "Oh, that was the best time in Rocket League." When it was announced, the open circuit was announced, people hated it. They were like, "No, this is not how it should be done." So I think we need to give it time to allow it to roll out and see. And there will absolutely be changes because that's how these things work. So for me, the whole RLCS 2024, in my mind, is a recalibration. The way it was being done was not sustainable. Let's scale it right back and almost build it not quite from scratch, but almost from the bottom level. And as Bop says, and he's very optimistic that they're going to listen to the community and make changes. Who knows? We desperately hope that they do that, but we'll see how it plays out. So. So whether this format is the best, I like a simple format. I think it helps bring new people into the game. It took me the entire first season to understand the Swiss format. And, you know, my brain couldn't figure it out. And then it's like, okay, I understand Swiss. Excellent. Well, now we're doing double elimination. What? What the hell's that now? And okay, I understand double elimination. Excellent, because we're doing groups now. So it was kind of hard to keep up from that point of view. And just before I forget, I saw Rollback Noodles in chat. He subscribed. Shout out to him. I cast him in a game. I cannot remember for which team, but it was one of my favorite names ever. So shout out to Rollback Noodles if he's still there. And that's me on that point.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rollback, actually, for coming in and getting the subscription, tier 1 subscription. Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much. So does Epic even okay, first of all, now we're not dealing with only psionics anymore, right? We are dealing with the powerhouse, and Lord do I mean powerhouse of Blast and Epic. And people don't like what they did with Siege, R6 Esports. People like what they did with CS:GO. So everything that we're getting from Blast, from the production perspective, from the event perspective, and a lot of the budget, we're gonna assume that because a lot of the budget got took off because it's not only 2 splits, but the sum of whatever is being kept in, you have to assume is going straight to production and LAN and everything, whatever is happening there. God willing, they bring the studio back because I would love to see that. But do we even have a chance of seeing the big powerhouses, big industry respond to the community in the first place? Because that is something else that I'm like, I'm not gonna get my hopes too high on that, because if they do, then that is amazing. But if they don't, and this ends up becoming the norm, then where do we go from here? Yeah.
Dang, loaded question.
Who wants to take that one?
Greybeard, I trust you. What do you think about this?
Do you know what? The entire esport, never mind just esports, I think gaming in general survives on copium. If it wasn't for copium, we would have all grown up and gone and got real jobs and gotten the hell out of gaming and esport. Because I mean, honestly, is there a community in the world that's more abused and disappointed? No matter what your game of choice is, no matter what team you support or what format you support. So I think we all need to huff a little bit of copium and believe that they will come around, and that the decisions that are being made now will be better for the game long term. Are they going to listen to us? All the facts before us suggest not. They will do whatever they believe is right for the money. and we're going to somehow make the best of it. So there's so much in the air in that regard. But we either get out and face reality and go do other things, or we stick with it and we either believe it'll get better or we do the best we can to try and make it better. It's as brutal as that. And all of us, I mean, if I look at this panel here, none of us are making a decent living out of what we do for Rocket League. Yet here we are. We love it. We're passionate. We just want it to succeed. And if it wasn't for people like you see here on your screens, there would be no Rocket League. Think about the backers mod people, the ball chasing people. I mean, this entire community is held together by passion, and which is why I don't begrudge anybody who makes the decision to go, you know what, we need to get out of here and go and do something else. You're probably smarter than any of us, but for those of us that are left, we have to try it. We have to try and make it work.
Yeah, that's so true. That is so true.
Yo, it's the sad reality of life. Mom's over here telling me to get a job at Chipotle. I said, what? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I never agreed to this. Nah, but I mean, yeah, I mean, it's hard, but I mean, Jesus Christ, hope. My mom was just talking about hope a couple hours ago. Just keep it whole, keep the faith. Hope everything works out for the good, but goodness gracious. I tell you. Now let's move on to more of the gaming side of this, and let's look at Squishy's retirement. He came out and to paraphrase, I guess, or to make it smaller, he essentially said that this is going to be his last split. He thanked everybody. He's teaming with, I think it's Aqua and Gimmick, if I remember correctly. And wow, first of all, Squishy's had such an incredible impact on the game. He is an icon in within himself, and probably all of esports. That run that Cloud9 team had in season 6 was wow. He continued, him and Torment continued to stay relevant. So did Gimmick. Although I had some interesting words to say about that roster when someone called them top 6 in my chat the other day. I said, okay. But what are we thinking? Is Squishy now a part of the Rocket League Mount Rushmore when it comes to all things Rocket League? Is he on there? I want to go to Money.
I gotta say yes, because I started playing Rocket League like after all of this already happened, after he already won the world championship, and he was a name that I always heard about. Oh, this Squishy save, these mechanics. Oh, he was one of the first people learning like stuff off the ceiling, etc. And he was always innovating the game. I think he's got to be on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think you look in history and you look at the players that had like a lot of effect on people. You think about like Cookser, Kernovi back in the early days. You think about Devo. You think about players like that, and like Squishy, I think is also a perfect example of that. Not only because of like what he's done in RLCS, but also just the effect he's had on people through content and everything else. Because like you saw like when he made his retirement tweet, first of all, I got over like 1 million views, and like so many of the people that responded were like Zen, Vatira, Monkey Moon, Rise, Jack, like all these top pros nowadays. They all like gained inspiration from him and like started watching his videos. Like Monkey Moon said that when he was a Diamond 2 player, he would watch Squishy videos to like try to get better at the game. So things like that. I mean, like if you're inspiring the best players today, I think that has to put you on something like Mount Rushmore for sure.
I think there's there's Kronovi, one of the OG poster boy of Rocket League. But then for Rocket League proper, moving into competitive and all of that, no one's done it better than Squishy in my mind. Just because he was so early with grinding content and continues to do it. And then the impact, as Money has pointed out, in terms of the mechanics that have come in the game, that ceiling shot in season 6, was it, or whatever, that was the first in RLCS. Absolutely. There's no doubt that when the history of Rocket League is written, he and Kronovi at the very least are going to be the big power names.
Yeah, I agree.
There are a couple people you think about when you say his name. There's like about Mount Rushmore. There's Squishy, Kronovi, Cuxer, K-Dop, Turbo. Like if you think of like the top of Rocket League, you could put Garrett into that conversation as well, just because of what he's accomplished, his longevity. it's like that LeBron James stat where it said he's played with 35% of the player in every single what did it say?
All the
35% of
players
the
in NBA
players,
history.
all the
Yeah.
players in NBA history. Yeah, that is how do you have that much longevity? First, how do you?
Mm.
Okay, and Garrett is also up in in that conversation because he played against a whole lot of people too. Squishy himself as well, going to so many lands. The content from then to now, he's been able to stay incredibly relevant in the competitive scene the past couple of years as well. He's up there, forever an icon for sure.
Yeah. Greybeard, I wanted to ask you, like, is there a player that was like most popular in SSA that like inspired people in SSA? Because I know like in OCE, it was Devo back in the day that like inspired a ton of players. They even named like a whole like double touch after him. So was there a player in SSA like that as well?
It's kind of weird. I mean, probably most SSA players have probably taken inspiration from the players that have just been mentioned. The Squishy Muffins, Kronovi was definitely early on, Fairy Peak for sure. So I think it's more that just because we were so isolated that we had very few iconic players.
Yeah.
I mean, probably the iconic player for SSA is probably Snowy, who's on Limitless, and has won just about all of the regionals that we've had so far. But what he didn't do, which was kind of sad for me, is that he never did content. He never streamed. He's a guy that just wants to be at the best he can possibly be, and I think things like streaming and making content was just too much of a distraction. So he focused on that, and he's a difficult person to make friends with, and so he's he's not the I'm trying to be very diplomatic here, but so he would be that guy, but not many local players got to know about him because he was pretty much known to the top of the scene, and that's it. He just wanted to be good. He's more known now because he's done obviously interviews on our broadcasts and people have seen him out there playing. So he may have inspired people in the last couple of years, but he would be the closest we've come, I would think.
Okay.
Okay, people, I've got a big announcement. I think everyone's seen it already. K-Dop is not retiring. This guy is still playing in a top tier level in Europe. What is the old man doing? He does not want to give it up. And maybe he could keep doing it because he got Chaussette with him now on that roster. What's it, Solary roster? I think it's
It's a Rise Fox. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Rice Fox, something like that. Chaussette and K-Dop on Solary. Is this the team that's making consistent regionals? I gotta hear it.
I'd say yes. I would argue yes. I mean, the offseason, they look really good. They've won a couple tournaments the offseason. They usually make it far if they don't win. I think like they're probably not winning regional or anything like that. They're probably not making a major, but like I think they consistently make regionals for sure. Yeah, I think they're still a strong team right there.
What do we think, Greybeard?
You know what? I have my deep knowledge of the rest of the world is limited. I can speak SSA all day, but K-Dop, also another legend of the game. I mean, you said he's not retiring. Man's been around a long time. But I don't know. I do think these let's call them the old school players who've been around a long time, they are struggling with against the Zens, the Darks, these youngsters who are just coming out and doing. How do you learn what these kids are just sort of figuring out naturally? So I think they are certainly a feature. And Chaussette, if I'm not mistaken, isn't he the one that popularized the Fennec? He used Fennec and RLCS, and suddenly Fennec became like really popular and killed the Dominus. But so they've been around, and I think they will be a feature. I think they're great for the game to have around. But I don't know. It is so hard to compete at that top level now.
Money?
Yeah, I think you guys are being a bit too generous to this team.
Damn.
They had their time.
Oh, here comes reality.
They had their time. I'm not too sure who the third is. You guys said Rise Fox. I don't know his game. I haven't seen him play. But I don't think he can revive Showset and K-Dop here. I'll give them
no.
one regional, one top 16.
One in the
One-
entire
one-
season. We're talking one.
In the first three, in the first
okay,
the first
okay.
the first split.
Wow.
I'll give them one. And yeah, if they can get more, if they can get higher than top 16, I will clap it up for them. But we'll see.
Okay. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of trapping out with that question. That team is not making one single top 16 in the entire season. Because I'll be honest,
Nah,
that
I
is not
disagree.
bro. That is not happening. That is not happening.
I gotta
nah.
disagree.
You
They've
get is it?
They've looked really good in the offseason. Like they've looked like potentially the best EU team in the offseason. Like the way that they've been playing. Like besides
Wait.
like Oxygen and stuff. But like they've literally beat every single other team during the offseason. So I don't know. Plus the Rise Fox kid, he's 16, he's really good. He's cracked. He's nuts. So
They're good.
Wait, so
They're
they've been
good.
beating like BDS, they've been beating like Vitality, Kitecore.
none of those teams have played in any offseason tournaments.
Okay.
So, any team that's played in offseason tournaments they've beaten, which is
Okay.
like it's like pretty much like 8 through 16 in EU.
Okay.
They've beaten all those. The rest of the teams haven't even been playing. So there's that. But yeah.
Okay, so they might be a contender then, but I don't know. I still think that RLCS is gonna hit different.
Come on. Is this what we're doing now? We're giving generous to K-Dop and Shaw said just because they've been here a while. K-Dop, three-time champion, three-time champion, and outside the open cert. Okay, here's something that is with the format that I appreciate because I'm a fan of this, although everyone else is not because I'm not a player and the players actually have to go through this. And this system rewards players for grinding and making sure that they compete every single day to the top of their ability, to the top level every single time. It does not reward people that slack off, which is why some of the people that aren't putting the hours in are starting to retire. That was a speculation around Drees' retirement actually, is because this system of attempting to make the majors is a whole lot more cutthroat because it seems like they want the best and biggest talent from every region throughout the entire. That's what it feels like that they're doing with this. I may be wrong, but that's certainly what it feels like, and being able to reward it. I'm not saying that Solary and them can't do it. I was just rambling into a completely different topic. To be completely honest. But yeah, no, that's what the format's going to require, and being Solary having to be able to continue to keep up with that. K-Dop still has motivation. I think he still got motivation. The motivation is money. You see how much viewers that guy is getting on every single stream that he's getting in the morning, on the midnight. Man is making bank over there. But I mean, I'd say that's the big thing to Rocket League Esports, like Squishy and K-Dop. If you have an attraction like that, even Justin, you're gonna be able to go over. You can do this into your 30s, okay? Like that's a job for you up until trying to make generational wealth over there. So
and like I said earlier, I mean, I said there's 1,000 French players that signed up for this regional, and that's all stems from K-Dop. That all stems from K-Dop. Right in the beginning, all the content he did, becoming world champ, everything. Him and Fairy Peak especially. What they did to the French scene was incredible, and obviously we've seen that with Monkey Moon, Vatira, Zen now, and how much it's grown, and it's only going to grow more. We're only going to see France get better and better at the game. So, yeah, shout out K-Dop.
Content. If you're planning to be a pro, figure out your content because what we're seeing is what we're seeing, where the top players who are making bank, making a living, making huge money by winning regionals, winning majors, and all of that, it all goes away in a moment. Epic Sonics have a rethink and go, okay, there's less money for everybody now. And now you're left high and dry. At least K-Dop, they got something to fall back on. Squishy's got an entire career. He's not going anywhere because he knows the value he has built. He has a passionate audience who love him, and he will continue to make a living and a career from that. So I think it becomes imperative because, yeah, after the last 2 seasons, and it's got to be tough for these guys who've been winning. Apparently Jax, Zen, who's like brand new, and he's like, wow, this is easy money for me. Suddenly it's easy money, but it's easy far less money. So, things can change very, very quickly. So I just have to keep punting. Content has got to be part of your plan if you're in this game and want to be that serious about it.
That's a big point. I remember when the format came out and the prize pool came out, Alpha saw it. He tweeted, "I'm glad we won Worlds last year." I'm like, oh damn! Like it was a big change. It was a big drop off, and the entire EU changed. So Vitality is not going to repeat. I'm gonna say it right now. That is not happening. Vitality is not a top 1 team anymore. That belongs to Carmine Corp. I'm not a Carmine Corp fan, actually. Yo, I have this Carmine. Akuma, get out of my DM saying this Vatira copium. Keep having this Vatira copium. I saw he said, "Oh, he's number 1." He replied to me and Bop on Twitter said, "Oh yeah, Vatira is number 1." I said, "Boy, please." And then Vatira came out at number 1 on the shift list. I said, "Okay, you got it, bro. You have it. Everyone knows Zen's number 1." He said, "Nope." I said, "Okay," but I mean, the entire ecosystem has changed throughout Rocket League, and including North America. Dignitas coming out and doing well in 2 tactical banditries in a row. Has Gyro found his form back, Mr. Bop? That's the big question. Can we finally say Dignitas, and Big Fan, I'm talking to you, can we finally say Dignitas is a top team? Top 6 team.
For me, it's interesting because you asked me this question at the in our last podcast. That was before Gyro's on the team, and I said Dig is not making a major. I said no chance they're not making a major. Now I think it's completely different. Now everything has changed. They won back-to-back tactical banditries. They've beaten, I believe, like Luminosity, Hey Bro, Rebellion. I believe they've beaten like all these teams, and I mean, seeing stuff like this right before the season starts, I think is very good. Because like we've seen a lot of teams kind of peak in like the middle of the off season, earlier in the off season. You saw Rebellion, Hey Bro, these teams getting wins earlier, but now they're not getting as many wins. So I think like something for Dig doing good right now is very good heading into the off season or heading into the actual season because they're gonna get a lot of momentum. I think a major is not impossible at all. Like I think it's still gonna be tough when you got like G2, Gen G, Space Station, Rebellion, all these top teams, but like I think it's possible. I'm very excited. Gyro's my favorite player, so I'm always going to be rooting for him. Seeing him succeed makes me so happy. So hope they do well.
What you think, Money?
Well, I have to admit, I did miss this weekend. I wasn't home to watch any of these games all weekend. Big congratulations to Dignitas on getting the back-to-back. But I'm scrolling through the matchups right now.
Uh-oh.
They won the matches that they needed to win, but it's looking a little bit Mickey to me. I don't know.
Oh.
They didn't have to play OG. They didn't have to play Shopify Rebellion. I don't know. Luminosity, they have their days. Sometimes they look good, sometimes they don't. I didn't get to see the matches. Who knows how they were looking on the weekend? I think I also underestimated Dignitas a lot. But I still can't give them top 6 yet. I need to see it in RLCS.
That's fair.
I mean,
and I'm not going to comment on. I feel wholly unqualified to comment on. I don't. My knowledge of North America is not deep enough to be authoritative in my answer there.
Big fan. Mr. Big Fan, Mr. Fantasy Rocket League. I know you came in we were doing the watch party together on the draw. You were talking all the smack on Dignitas's name. And I remember you came in my chat a couple days. You came in it yesterday. You said, "Oh, it was before Gyro came." And I asked you again. You said the same thing. You said the same thing twice, Mr. Big Fan, Mr. Fantasy. Oh, guess what? It's a new dog in town in North America. It is going to be a very different story. This time, well, guess who's back? It is Gyro. Gyro Arsenal teaming up again. I know Bop can feel it in his soul right now, jumping for joy. It is going to be a great season. Dignitas are making all of the majors. I'm going to say it right now. Okay, no, I'm kidding.
All right.
No,
well, I'm not an expert, but I think Melekiym might be positive about Dig.
He might like Dig a little bit.
Nah, one major at least. My mom texted. She agrees. I said okay.
Oh well, your mom said. Well, then we're good.
I mean, it's guaranteed now.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of teams in North America, and now with all of the roster changes, and Lord, have there been roster changes? North America went through one heck of a last-minute roster scramble between the bubble, and it ended up looking very different. So do we still rate after? I mean, the lackluster results, at least from Hey Bro, Bop and Money. Do we still feel like that team is a contender for potential top eights? And I think they're still inconsistent top 12s. Still in talks for consistent top 10s and eights. Do we continue to feel like that is the case even with the ish results over the past couple tournaments?
Yeah, I mean, for me, yeah, I still got them as potential major contenders. I think there's still like 10, 11, maybe more teams in NA that could potentially just make a major with how many teams are like so good there. So I don't think anyone's out there running. I think when the new season starts, anything can happen. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think Hey Bro, I think they're still a solid team. I'm looking at some of their losses right now. They lost to Luminosity twice and also Shopify Rebellion. Those were their only 3 losses in the recent fall showdown. So I mean, I'm okay with that for them. I think that they can definitely take out both of those teams at least sometimes. But I mean, yeah, like if you're only losing to other top teams, you still have to be around that top area. So yeah, I'd still put them around like top 8, top 10.
So now, guys, now. Guess what? I am probably one of the biggest NRG fans you'll run into. So outside of the podcast, outside of the casting gigs, my NRG blood runs and VCs behind the scenes. And
Mm,
here we go. NRG, they signed Frosty. Less than a month later, they get rid of Frosty.
mm,
And then they bring in Toasty. And here comes Mr. Generation Garrett G. Um, and then with the entire roster, so Toasty comes up from Pirates on the Boat, if I remember correctly. The
mhm,
rumor was, I think Zanil was going to go up and replace Toasty, but he didn't. He's going to go to and stay on Omelet. And
yeah.
Eris is going to come up from a different team and then replace Toasty.
Mhm,
And now Frosty, who was also rumored to go to Omelet and Zanil moving up to Pirates on the Boat, which that ended up not happening. Frosty has put himself all the way down, and now he's going to be with the Snowmen, which is Scribbles, Ravel, and Frosty, which means that Sosa left and went to a spot that I think Eris was also trying out for with
mhm.
Expert and Kofer.
Yep.
So one move happens, and all of North America decides to just roster Domino again, like it's 2 years ago.
Mhm.
And imagine this happened the last week before ROCS quals too. Wow. Okay, Bob, what do you think first
Yeah.
of all about all of these changes, and are any of these even contending rosters in the top 16?
Energy definitely. Energy is definitely a contending roster top 16. I think they're a top 10 contender as well. It's gonna be interesting. Obviously, Garrett G, he teamed with Toasty's older brother Moses back in season 1, season 2. They had that chem. They made bold lands right there with Turtle. They look good over there. Now, 7 years later, he's teaming with Moses' little brother, which is insane. I've never seen anything like this in like esports or even sports history. I can't think of a scenario like this before where someone teams with a younger sibling of someone else. So it's pretty insane. I think, are they gonna make a major? That's tough. That's tough. But I think it's still a top 10 team. And like there's even like you were mentioning all the teams that changed, there's even more as well. Like there's a Chiefs just got a coaching spot today with
Oh wow.
Andy, Five Up, and who's their third?
Andy 5 up and
They
whoa.
announced their third today. Wait,
Wait, let me see. I have it somewhere.
it
Eris.
is.
Andy 5 up
Oh,
Eris.
that's where Aries is now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
like, Achieves is gonna be coaching that team, which I think is gonna be cool. I think that could like help a lot because Achieves has a great analytical mind. He's very like smart, so I think that could help a lot. So yeah, all these teams, I think like they're all gonna be contenders for regionals. They might miss. I think some teams are not gonna consistently make them. Like the Scribbles team, like they haven't looked good in off-season tournaments with Sosa. Now they got Frosty, which could be an improvement. We'll see. It's tough to say. But like these are all contenders for that like a regional spot for sure.
Hmm. What do you think, Money?
Yeah, for top teams, I'd say yeah, still just NRG. Out of all like these roster changes, I'd say NRG. So has the potential to be a top team. I think they just wanted to switch up the temperature It was a bit too cold. It was frosty. They turned up the temperature. Now it's a
Oh
bit
my
toasty.
goodness.
So
Oh, geez. Okay.
I
I'm
think
so
the
glad somebody mentioned it. Well done, Money.
appreciate that. But yeah, I think they got a chance. I think they got a chance of doing some great stuff with this new roster.
All right. Well, this for me has gone in far deeper than I could ever go. And someone asked in chat, Jagentech asked, like, how does the casual fan keep up with this? And in truth,
wow.
they don't. It's impossible to keep up with unless you're like deeply invested in it. The casual fan turns on the broadcast, if there is a broadcast,
If
and
there is
goes,
one.
oh, it's Gen G, it's NRG, it's whatever. Who are the players? And they just, whoever's playing on the day, that's how the casual fan base. And I'm more than a casual fan, but I can't keep up with this. Literally, when I watch North American, Europe, and EU, it's the cast is announced, the teams are on the pitch. I'm like, oh, they're the three players. I can see their boost, and we go. So I don't think we have to worry too much about the casual fans. They'll figure it out.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Like we make jokes about when does NRG play in the chat, but like people actually come to the chat to ask when is NRG gonna play. People don't know about Liquipedia. People
Actually,
don't know.
And if you've never seen Liquipedia, the first time I saw Liquipedia, I went, how is this supposed to help me? I don't understand what's going on. It took me half a season to figure out Liquipedia. So, never mind. This is hard.
I think Psyonix promised us a website like 4 years ago or something like that, and still never
yeah.
made one. So
Yeah.
whatever
Wow.
happened?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine a roadmap? How amazing would that be?
that would be, well, that's beyond anything I can imagine.
I feel like that's why they don't tell us about stuff anymore. Because I think that was the last time they're like, yeah, we're gonna make a website. I think this was right before the what do they call it? The open, yeah, like the open
Probably.
generation. Well, that's
And
crazy.
I can still remember that announcement video of the 21-22 season, and T Bates and Daz and Roll Dizzer, the first touch team, is interviewing the devs, and it's like the devs came out and T Bates came out. I think it was T Bates said, "Is the website? Are we fixing the website? Because that thing is done. That thing is not good." And the devs are like, "Yep, we're gonna have a new website. It's gonna be fixed. We're gonna have so many things. We have so many things planned for it very, very soon." It has been almost 3 years since then, bro. It's been over 2 seasons. We're going into the third. We still don't have an updated website. People, please. We need something here because it's not working. Whatever is happening, it is not working, bro. But I mean, I hope, because that's what I'm saying. Like there've been times where this happens with everyone. They promise you things and it just doesn't end up getting fulfilled, or at least in the time that you were hoping that it would be fulfilled. But I mean, either way, I want to move on to something that I wanted to talk about a little bit earlier. We got sidetracked. Greybeard, this is going to be more to you, because this is I'm also very interested in Limitless. They end up parting ways with Darth. Where does he go? What's the roster Limitless has? Can it contend and stay at the top for a major spot in SSA?
All right. Well, I was talking about Snowy earlier, and Snowy is Snowy thinks very deeply about this game, and what he lacks in what I was talking about earlier in terms of his content and all of that sort of thing, he makes up for in terms of being a leader. He understands Rocket League talent, and the reason he has been on every team that has succeeded as much as it has been because of him, and bringing in the right people for the roster. He brought in Skill Steel in their first season as Orlando Pirates, and they got to the wild card, and that game against Game and Gladiators you referred to. And then, Skill Steel is the oldest person to, I think, ever compete in RLCS. He's now 26, 27 years old. So he had to retire. Darth was an exceptional player, brought in Darth, and he... and that was Limitless last season. They were fantastic. Snowy, Darth, and To Die For. And To Die For is going to be a superstar. I mean, that kid he's just exceptional. And they did. And then coming to the end of that, Darth is moving. Darth started university. He's getting into more real life stuff, grown up stuff, and is distracted from the game. He can't put in as much time, not putting in as much time. And honestly, if Darth was if he had the time and the impetus to do, 60 hours, 80 hours past 2, he would absolutely be up there and be a contender in the world, never mind SSA. But he's got other things on his plate, so he's moved on. And now Sweaty, who was with Valiant, the second team that went to Wildcard last season. Sweaty Clarence is an exceptional player, a hungry player, and he just wants to grind and be exceptional at Rocket League. So it's a great move. I know Snowy is incredibly and intensely unhappy with the region unlock. And I know that he is going to be, he will do whatever is within his power to have that team ready to compete with whoever comes here to try and unseat their crown. So I absolutely think they're gonna be competitive, and they are our best chance to keep an SSA team in the majors. They are going to have more competition than they've ever had up to this point. So there's a step up that they have to make, and I'm relatively confident they make that step. So I think I've got great faith in that. Darth is still competing though. He's on an unsigned roster called Double Agents, and it's him. So it's Darth, it's Archeon, and Ram. Ram has been in and around in SSA in sort of top 6, top 8 teams in the 2 seasons we've been in. Archeon as well. And I don't know. I don't even know, given all the EU teams that have come, I'm not even sure if they make top 16 or not, but we'll see how it plays out.
And that's another thing I have a question about. You answered this in a level earlier, but not the specific question. Do you feel like the region will improve from these other exterior teams coming in from these other regions? Or do you feel like the region can improve and get better from it? And do you think that as a whole it's good for the region? If so, if not?
So I have brought myself to the point, I have convinced myself that it is going to be a good thing, and that we will improve because of it. But I will also refer back to my earlier comment about how we survive in this industry through massive amounts of copium. So it may well be that. And I recognize that it might be copium keeping me positive about it, but I have to be positive about it. And I look at the reality of, sub-Saharan African teams suddenly having access to EU players, being able to play them on our servers. Suddenly a higher level of player, someone messaged me earlier tonight on a very low level team. They're hoping maybe we make 32nd place and get $100, but they're in there because they just want to be. And they scrimmed with 2K, the Dutch team that's come out, and they got absolutely smashed. But to just be able to be smashed by players of that level is really, really good for you. So I do think long term it is good for us. And it depends on a couple of things. It depends on that cross-regional relationships. The EU teams that are coming here need, as someone local here said, if you're coming here to farm, at least bring a shovel and help us plant. Help to plant seeds, help to grow the region. If you're just coming here to try and make a buck out of it, well then, with all due respect, you can I don't know what your swearing policy is, so I won't say it. But if you're going to come here and have a view to helping the region and interacting with our players, maybe a coaching session, maybe just scrimming with them, that has got to be good for us. I think it's going to suck for the top players, but for that slightly middle to lower base, surely it's good to play and get beaten by better players.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. One question I had for you as well is, obviously we're seeing teams come in to SSA and like a full team coming in. They're trying to compete here. Do you think we're ever going to see imports come in, just like individual players, and join some of these top teams like Limitless in the future, or other teams as well?
I really hope to see that. In fact, I was quite disappointed that none of the 22 EU teams that are here are teaming up with local people. I think that I think those teams have missed a trick to get kind of the local expertise onto their team. And I would much rather have seen that is EU players coming in going, okay, what's the lay of the land? Let me join a team of 2 SSA players and build it that way. I thought we might get 1 or 2 or 3 of those. To have none of them is really, really disappointing. So I would be far more in favor of all of that if we saw a lot more of that. If 22 teams, I wouldn't even mind if of those 22, 12 of them were 2 EU players and an SSA player, and the rest of them scattered throughout. So understand that the announcement was made Wednesday last week, and then only a few hours later did people realize what this meant. So that effectively gave Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday 5 days. So it's been a massive scramble. So I don't want to pass judgment on that too quickly. People have they've been under this huge deadline to sign up. So it is what it is. But now with, a few weeks in advance, perhaps we will start to see more of that. And that I would be hugely in favor of. If, some 2100 EU player came here and picked up one of our 1800s, 2 of them, and said, let's make a team, man, I would certainly be a lot more behind that move. And going to majors, if it was 2 SSA players and an EU person, I'm on a plane. I'm on the plane and flying to wherever the major's going to be and supporting. Absolutely.
Another question, which is still in the SSA topic. What kind of happened with the situation with Guns? That young kid that kind of retired, then unretired, and then his spot was taken, and then he had to kind of go with a different roster. What happened with that?
Guns for me is a case study in not responding to anything in life emotionally. Do not make important decisions when you're emotional, when you're hungry, when you're tired. Any big decision, go and sleep on it. So the announcement gets made. No region lock. And so he went, and so there were 2 things. One, the prize pool was lowered for your top 6. And no region lock. A bunch of EU players are going to come in and eat our lunch. And he made an impulsive decision. The night before registration opened, he was like, I'm done with this game. I can make more money going to a real job, so I'm going to go and do that. So that left his team the night before opened registration with no teammates. So they're in a panic. They've got to fill that spot. So they filled it with Skill Steel, got him out of retirement, put him into their team. And then the next day, Guns went, I think I was a little bit too hasty. And they were like, well, now you're late. So he's now joined, he's now with Werty and Snoozy. Werty and Snoozy, I can't remember the name of their team offhand. It's a really Schmongolia is their team. And that's a pretty decent roster. Guns is an exceptional player. This is a kid who's going to, if he can stick with it and not make emotional decisions, he can do wonders for this region over the next couple of years. So I really hope they do well.
If there were any prodigies coming from SSA that could make a big debut in the regionals or maybe even contend for a major, who would they be?
This season it's kind of low. My money would have been on Guns, who we've just spoken about, but now that he's not on Bonjour, I don't know about their chances of contending. I think realistically in SSA we're still looking to Limitlesses to be the main contender for this region, and everybody else is fighting for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place. But Guns, maybe not this season, but certainly he's got a major spot. In fact, if Limitless go on to win everything like they have done and they shake up the roster next season, I wouldn't be surprised to see Guns on it. So that's definitely one. And then Snoozy is possible. He's also quite young. I think he's 16. He's got potential so far. Hasn't completely lived up to his potential from my perspective, but he may become even greater than he is. And then there are 2 very young players, a 15-year-old and 2 13-year-olds who are going to be making their RLCS debut in the region. And that's Devour, Ravi, and Risque. And they have made their mark in 6-mans, in ranked, in private matches here. They've not been tested in the heat of battle in proper high-level competition, so they need to go through a season of that, and we'll see how they perform. But those are three or four players that I'm certainly keeping my eye on for next 2025, 26 seasons. Kind of, that's when I think they start to shine. And then, of course, to die for. I think he's gone too far to be a prodigy, but he's certainly got 3 or 4 years of great Rocket League left in him.
There is also something else. I mean, I think it's an SSA, but there is a roster by the name of Greybeard's Greybeard down there.
What the?
I can't believe I can't believe it's taken this long to bring them up. I should have been speaking about them out the gate, because if there's one team, if you only want to support one team in the entire global RLCS landscape, Greybeard's Beard is the team.
Can we have a story behind them? Who are they? Do they have a chance? Are they a decent team? What's up with them?
No, listen, they're great guys, active in the community. I love them a lot. Chase is, I think, probably 23, 24 now. He's the kind of guy I would describe as like a casual pro, if that makes sense. He's kind of good enough to be on a team, maybe get 12th, maybe get 8th place, maybe play out of his mind, get a top 6. But that's not what drives him. He's always like, oh, I think I'm done playing now. Just kidding. I'll come and play another one more. Lemons is also, I think, in his 20s now. He's, but just one of those. Every community has those delightful people that just make their communities better, and they are those players. I would back them to make top 32, so they will at least get their $100. But And I'm going to feel so bad if any of them are actually watching this or get to see it, because they're going to be horrified at my lack of faith in them. But they're that sort of team. They're good enough to be there and thereabouts. None of them are grinding to be the best in the region.
Okay. How about? Do we have any more questions for Mr. Greybeard?
I mean, I've got a general question for like SSA. So like you mentioned a lot of these players, and now I'm getting kind of invested. I want to see like how a lot of these teams and players do. Do a lot of them stream? You talked about how Snowy, he's not really into content at all. So where would I be able to watch like open qualifiers for LCS?
Okay, so we're kind of I'm busy gathering everyone who's going to be POV streaming. And just so that all the links are in one place, I'll have it on my Discord. I'm going to be streaming throughout the weekend and jumping between streams and so on. But there are a couple. I know there's a team that was signed by Los Angeles Signal. And part of their deal was that the guys have to stream and make content and whatever, which I'm really thrilled to see. So that's Daps, DAPZ. He will definitely be streaming. That's a team to watch. But I think in terms of a central place, there will be posted somewhere around my Discord or on my stream or whatever, all the links of everybody who's POVing, so you can kind of jump in and just get a taste of how they're doing.
Okay.
Cool.
I had another question as well. What are your thoughts on the fact that we're gonna have 6 regions on the same day, like the same weekend? It's gonna be 6 regions. Do you think it's gonna hurt viewership for like these smaller regions, including SSA?
Well, my first question there is they've moved EU out, but why only EU? I don't. It's like, why don't we split it up like we were doing before? But anyway, to answer your question, yes, it is. But this has been my view, and coming from a region, we discussed it earlier, we've never had a supported broadcast. We had to beg to even get a raid. It almost never got approved that we could be raided. But my view has been this. I mean, we've always had small viewership because our region went up against EU. We were an hour apart from EU, so we were never getting viewers anyway. And I feel very strongly that we have to build our own viewership. We've got to build a passionate base, Rocket League base in this region, and they must come and watch us. Yes, it's wonderful when APAC or some other region, apparently Jack raided us once with like a few thousand viewers, and it's wonderful. You see the numbers go up to 12,000, you lose your mind, and then they all kind of slowly disappear. And granted, a bunch of them will stay and become fans. I get that benefit. But having never experienced any tangible benefit from the split schedule, I'm not invested. I don't feel badly that we're going to stream to our usual 160 people, maybe get it up to 300, maybe on a good day 500-600. That's where we are. For me, it's a measurement of the region. So we've got to grow our own viewership. But for the others, absolutely, it's certainly going to hurt them. And I don't know what viewership has been like in Sam and OCE and Mina, and I don't know what their viewership has been like, but this will absolutely hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. We have a couple minutes left, so let's move on to some very interesting things. First of all, enter into what I want to talk about, we have to acknowledge the new Rule 1 roster that came out a couple days ago. The new Rule 1 roster officially is Ahmad, O'Khalid, and Napo, of all on the Falcons at one point. The Falcons have a tree of players in the top 6 right now with Clears, TRK, Rawas, and then the 3 that we just mentioned, Napo, O'Khalid, and Ahmad. Can Napo, O'Khalid, and Ahmad, which is just an extended third from TRK, come in and then beat the Falcons beat the now Falcons just like the old Falcons would do to Rule 1 back in the day.
Money, what do you think?
I got a little bit confused of the names because of the teams, but I think the now Falcons, Kalias, Rawas, TRK, I think they're gonna be on top. I think that's gonna be the number 1 seed. I think they're still gonna be on top. But young Nwippo, he might be cooking. He might have some stuff to say. So, Bop, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Falcons, they got the second best player, third best player, and fourth best player in the region. So, I mean, if you got players like that, I think they're going to cook. I think the best player is Nepo, in my opinion, in Mina. But I think he does have slightly weaker teammates compared to what Falcons are cooking with this time. So, I got Falcons as number 1. I think Falcons top 5 team in the world as well. I think that's a crazy talented roster right there. I mean, 3 young guns right there looking good. They're going to be good. They're going to be good.
Greybeard, you have an opinion on this?
I'm going to ask, which team is Ahmad on?
He's on on Rule 1.
Rule 1.
Yes.
Okay, Rule 1 on top. That's all I know. I love Ahmad, and that's all I can offer here.
Let me tell you something, okay? TRK, Rawas, and Clears are 3 of some of the best players in the world, and they are absolutely incredible. Being able to watch Rawas and Clears against Vitality, I called Rawas the second best player in the world for a couple of moments in time. He was an incredible player. He is an incredible player, and so is Clears. That is a dream duo to match up with TRK. That team is for sure going to be at the very least top 6 in the entire world, top 8 in the entire world, maybe top 5. But you haven't seen Rule 1 yet. Rule 1 is coming out here with Noapo.
Here we go.
And guess who? O'Khalid and Ahmad. And let me tell you something about history. That roster with Ahmed and O'Khalid always used to not even consistently be able to beat, but just be able to beat Rule 1 when they needed to beat Rule 1. They were able to come up and beat the good teams, qualify for the best events when it comes to the wild card, international events, tiebreak, whatever the case may be. always came down to beating the best teams in the Middle East and even the best teams in the world. And now, if you all those two are doing is adding a third, and what Bob calls the best player in all of the Middle East in Nalpo, boy, that is going to be one heck of a roster to deal with. Because I'm gonna tell you something, that kid has got something in him that I have not seen from many other people in the world up until this point, and it is incredible to see. That roster is for sure. That is a top 5 roster in the world for sure. That Rule 1 roster. I want to rate them higher than Falcons. I want to rate them higher than Falcons, although I am in love with that Rule 1 in the Falcons roster. I want to rate Rule 1 higher than Falcons, not because just of history, but how good all of them can be. If we're talking about all of the players at their peak going up against each other, that series is going to a set 3 game 7 overtime. I don't know what else to describe it as, because it's going to be such an action-packed series. He says that's the largest tap. Tell me where I just spoke cap, because there is no cap detected where you can see me hearing right now. I put on my Twitter bio, I do not yap, I speak the truth, and Lord, did I just speak the truth. I will put a dinner bet on it this season that the Falcons will finish a spot lower than Rule 1 in each and every split going into Worlds.
Oh,
It's as simple as that. It is
Dude,
as
that's a
simple
lot
as
of
that.
faith. Listen, you did say some facts
What?
about how. Listen. You did say some facts about how Rule 1 was always losing to Falcons last season. But this is a new season. Plus, Falcons, they still have TRK. TRK was a big reason for Falcons' success. So, just because they don't have Ahmad anymore, they don't have O'Khalid, two very clutch players, two very talented players. It's not enough. Like, Rule 1 is now experienced. Wait, sorry. Falcons are now experienced now that they have Varas and Kalias, who played at multiple lands last season. They're now experienced. It's a new season. They know what it takes. They've developed a lot, and plus they still have TRK. So I think this roster, I think they're gonna win every regional. You said they're gonna lose every regional. They're gonna win every regional. How about
I
that?
never said they're going to lose every
How about that?
regional, but they're not going to finish higher in points than Rule 1 for sure. I want Falcons to be the best team in the world, but Rule 1 is just another beast. Why are we just blatantly forgetting how good Rule 1 this roster is? You remember that O'Khalid and Ahmad, what they were doing on EU servers on 180 ping, on 160 ping, going up against the best players in the world, BDS, Vitality at the time with K-Dop and whoever. And you were just remember how good of a team that was. Move on. They have not dropped off. No, they didn't. TRK is probably the best player in the middle.
I wasn't gonna say it, but fuck.
I mean, I think Ahmad is. If I'm being honest, I think Ahmad is still a top tier player. I think O'Khalid has dropped off a little bit. I don't think he is near his prime anymore, unfortunately. I think he's still good. Like, I think he's still like top 2 Mina good. But if you're comparing him to like Rawaz, TRK, Kalirs, like, it's just a different level in my opinion.
Man, O'Khalid, he's been going down, bro. He's been going down. That's it. They're not strong enough anymore. This was last year. They're not strong enough anymore.
Yeah, that was last
We've been seeing
year.
the decline.
History is going to repeat itself. The same thing's going to happen. EU is going to dominate North America. Ahmed and O'Khalid are going to dominate Mina, right? Fury is going to go back and do the exact same thing to Yan is going to go and do the exact same thing that he did to Sam a couple of years ago when he won with True Neutral, or not True Neutral. That's a different roster I'm talking about. I'm bugging out right now. But I'm telling you, it's the same thing's going to happen. Back in 21-22, the Kings of South America, they're going to do it again because it's just Yan. It's lost. And now, guess who? It is Drafinho. It's the same thing that's going to happen. History is going to repeat itself. Limitless is going to be the champions of OCE. Okay? Elevate's going to come on and be top 2 in APAC. Of course, like Gladiators Ross is looking kind of scary right now. I'm not going to cap. But, I mean, come on, guys. Are we really doubting the abilities of O'Khalid and Ahmad? I'm not gonna say they have the same peak ability that Rule 1 do, but they are experienced in everything more besides for Napo. They're incredibly experienced. They know when to switch the mode, the mindset when they need to be. They know how to be professional. It's an older team. It's a more experienced team overall in average age. It is a team that I would trust more than the Falcons to go on land and then and potentially get a top four. Well, around the same. Either way, I cannot believe how everyone is starting to doubt this rule. Lord have mercy. Come on, guys. Is this what we're going with right now? I'm trying to make a case for this, and I keep hearing Bop and Money in my head go,
Go-
Lord.
Last thing I'll say on that, I think Rule 1 are gonna miss a major, and I think SMW, his team Twisted Minds, I think they're gonna make a major instead of Rule 1 for one of them. It's SMW, Mosin, and I think Senzo. I think that's a very talented team. I think they're gonna take a major from Rule 1.
From Ruan?
Yes.
Oh, please. Come on. Really?
I think one of the
And-
majors.
And gigantic, really? We see you said wise, bro, acting like I never said that Falcons was not a talented. I never said they were not an inexperienced team. Because hell, that's an experienced team. In all reality, they're probably going to have the number one spot in the Middle East. I'm just saying that I think Rule 1 can go ahead and do better. It is possible that they can come ahead and do better. All I'm saying is that it is possible. And I want to go ahead and ride that Rule 1 train because I've never done it before with any other team except for NRG. I want to go ahead and ride that Rule 1 train and say, I really like this. I'm at an Ocala team. It's going to be a good team. Don't doubt him because what you're doing is you down him. You down him big. And what happens when you doubt a team big? They're going to come and bite you back in the butt. I'll tell you that for sure. Okay, so everything's going to line up in place and it's going to come out and it's going to be a good season. All right. So honestly, I think everyone on Falcons is better than every player in Yamina. Honestly, you think they have the top 3 players in the region? They do. I'm not denying that they don't because I think they do. I think TRK is the best player in that region. Between TRK, Clears, Ross, whatever. They're all you could all put them up there. But when it comes down to the game, when it comes down to the play style, when it comes down to whoever is the better on the pitch on that day, it's gonna be Rule 1. There's no shot about it. Right? It's gonna be Rule 1. So that's all I'm going to say on that topic. And then we'll move on to something very short before we get off.
You say that like you didn't say much. You've basically dominated the last 8 minutes about Rule 1. Well, but that's all I've got to say about
it. I mean, passionate. That's all I gotta say. It's passionate.
I'll give you that, Mel. I'll give you that. Yeah. Without question.
Can't believe the slander I'm hearing from these two, Money and Bop. I don't want to hear this no more. Okay. Don't make me extra emotional. You're gonna make me yelling. I have a casting gig tonight. I cannot lose my voice. Please. Okay. One thing, little segment, bros. We're gonna do a little segment. I know we're kind of running out of time here. I apologize to Bop, but we have a little segment here. And it is rating the hot takes. Some of these came out of Shift. Some of these came out of Twitter. We're going to rate some of the hot takes wherever we rate them. You can rate them with numbers. You can say that's an A+ take. That's a B+ take. That's not a good take. That's a bad take. Whatever simplicity you want. Let's start. South America clears Mina so hard is better than me. It could mean better. It could mean bigger depth, more depth. It could mean that they're just better in general. South America.
5 out of 10 for me.
Really? You don't? That's not a good take.
No, I don't. It's halfway, but it's halfway between. I don't think you can say it emphatically like that. There's certainly a possibility. I don't think it's emphatic. I don't think they clear them hard. I think it's a struggle.
All right. What do we think, Bob?
I'd give that a solid 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10. I give them a tiny chance of it being a possibility. I think they do have more depth. I'll give them that. I think Sam definitely more depth than Mina right now. But if I compare, I think I'll go to 2 out of 10. How about that? I'll switch it from 1 to 10, 2 out of 10. Give him a little more. Because Sam is good.
Do
Yeah.
you think that South America, that MENA is better than South America? Like the top two teams in MENA are better than the top two teams in South America. We have South America got complexity, you got Furia. I guess maybe you could throw a crew in there with AJG, Bems, and what is it? I forgot the third name. And then you go to MENA, and then you got Falcons and Rule
And
One.
Rule
Who is
1.
winning the battle? Are they going one on? Are
I
they going two?
mean, I'm a little biased, but I gotta go Mina. I gotta go Mina there. I know we just had the whole debate right there about Rule 1, but I think Rule 1 is still a strong team, and I think Falcons is a top 5 team in the world. I think Fear is also potentially a top 5 team in the world, but I think Complexity are gonna struggle a tiny bit. They might not even make majors with how stacked Sam is in terms of depth, which I think it does clear Mina, but I'm more confident in Mina beating Sam, if that makes sense.
I'm so sorry. My face was just stuck because I just looked at a Rocket say the top two in MENA are better than the top two in. Are we really like so much better? That's a crazy statement. Okay, Money, what do you think?
I mean, he might have a point there. I'm not sure. I do kind of agree with Bop about the complexity potentially struggling. I'd say the top two in MENA. I don't know. Fury is also one of those hot or cold teams, but in terms of rating the hot take, I'd say it's a fairly hot take. In terms of, yeah, I'd say it's a pretty hot take because I don't really agree with it. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. It's a pretty hot take.
Okay, so let's go to the next one. What's the next one? Jesus, I lost everything here. I click out of one thing, I go back to Discord, everything is messed up. Okay. Bro, okay, we talked about this earlier. You said Sam over NA is actually debatable this season. Do we need to even touch on that?
Nah, we can go next.
We talked about
Okay.
it, I think.
This is a take that I guess someone said is a hot take. He said SSA teams from SSA will make 3 out of 3 lands, and no teams coming from EU, MENA, any other region will take that major spot. It's just going to be all Limitless or SSA, whatever team is coming from SSA is. Well, let's go to Greybeard because it looks like
So if I give that if I give it a 10, am I agreeing with it or not?
Yeah.
How does this work? Okay, that's a proper take.
Okay.
I don't know who said that, but that's solid. I like it. I'm in.
What do you think, Money?
Okay, my rating scale is kind of the opposite. So I agree with it. I think it's a colder take. I think that can actually happen. So I'm gonna rate it like a 2 or 3. I think it's a good possibility.
So he's on the opposite end, but we agree. We're on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know. There's something that's happening between the northern and southern hemisphere between you two. I don't know what's happening with these take rankings. What you got, Bob?
I think this one I gotta go neutral. I'm gonna give it a solid 5 out of 10 because honestly, I have no idea. I think it's like impossible to know. Kind of like Greybeard, you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
I think we'll see. Limitless could just take that spot every single time. It's very possible, but you never know. These EU teams are gonna be playing on like 200 ping. They could be good, could be bad. It's tough to say.
I think that's a solid take, just because there is so much we don't know right now.
Limitless will reign supreme. Hallelujah and amen. Okay, that's the
Oh,
take
I
I'm
like
going
this
right
man.
But, oh my goodness! If I say anything else, I don't know if I'm gonna get dinner from my mom. I don't know, but my mom is the biggest SSA fan you will see, or I mean, one of the biggest SSA parent fans you will see. Complexity and Furia make every single land in Sam. That is the hot take from there. Let me start off and say that is a 1 out of 10. That is the worst take I have ever heard. There's going to be one of these lands that one of those two teams miss because Furia could be inconsistent. Complexity has been shown inconsistency. We don't know how Dorito's working yet. And once they move down there, they have to acclimate with the environment. Where is Dorito from? Spain or Germany? I forgot. I'm bugging out.
Spain.
Right
Yeah,
now.
Spain.
Okay. That either way, that roster is a really good roster, but come on, guys. You wait. Where is this other South American roster chart I have all the way down here? Like, look at the Ninjas in Pajamas, Astromic, Mata, and Swift. Swift is like a 15-year-old kid that's got unlimited potential. Well, everyone says that, but it's gonna be super, super good. Diaz and Royals and with CW7M could pull an upset. But what about these guys? Go ahead and let's talk about the crew. AJG, Bems, and Card. That is a good roster. Okay, so I mean, I think there's gonna be a little bit of mix up, and I think it's gonna be good for that South American region. That's why I'm sad that there are only 16 spots at Worlds. But I mean, Money, what do you think about that take that Complexity and Fear make every single land?
Yeah, I think that's a wild take, just statistically, because okay, so since it's Swiss into a top 8 single elim, if one of those teams like loses an extra game or something, they could get seeded against each other earlier in the earlier in the top 8 bracket, and if one of those teams even loses top 5 to 8, they're gonna like their chances of making land goes down significantly. So I think one of them's gonna get unlucky at some point. I think, or even like another team could beat them. I think that's a really hot take, and I don't think it's gonna happen. I'll give it a 10 out of 10. I don't. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with Money pretty much. I give it a 10 out of 10 as well. I think Furia make every single land, but I think Complexity are gonna miss one. Like I think they could make the first one, miss the second one, but then still end up making World, something like that.
And I don't know enough, so I'm going with Money and Bop.
Okay. Here's a take that I don't think is a hot take. It said Falcons will make top 4 in a major. I don't think that's a hot take. I remember the 21-22 season. I was on my YouTube channel. How was I, like 13 years old at the time? And I went on my YouTube channel, had this bold take. I don't know why I said it, but I said it. And I came over, I said, okay, I'm finna get rid of my dreads. I'm gonna go back to that old little elementary school hairstyle, which is to cut hair and nothing else. If Falcons don't make a top 4 of that major, that same year it kept close, but that same year, the final split of the season, they made a final, a spring major final. I said, thank God, because I did not want to lose my hair. So so they went ahead and did that. So I think Falcons will make top 4 in a major this year. I hope so, but it's way more sacked than it is last year. What do you think, Bob?
I think Falcons win a major this year. So that's
That
my
would
take
be a
right there.
hotter take. That would be a hotter take.
That is a hot take. That is.
I think they
burning.
win one. That's my take.
Yeah, I think Falcons can definitely make a top 4. I don't think that's a hot take at all. I'll give it like a 3 out of 10.
You think Greybeard?
Yeah, and again, I like him. Sure, I'm in.
Okay. Trill went ahead and he said, I watched the replays of the new Limitless roster and I saw the replays of the quote unquote good EU team, and Limitless is gonna absolutely smoke that EU team down there. Okay, I'm with Trill.
I've never met Trill, but I love him.
Yeah, Trill's the coach of Elevate of that roster in APAC. So he's a good guy. Mr.
He knows
Mr.
stuff,
Coach,
yeah. Smart man
he
right
knows
there.
ball. You see that Limitless squad is cold. I think they're stronger than APAC teams right now. Hey, I had that SSA over APAC bias the last 2 years because I like SSA. I'm from SSA, so I gotta like it. Okay. He said, Rocket said, I don't think Sam is making top 4 this year on land. They did the last 2 years in a row. So what's different about this next year?
Yeah,
I mean, the first time it was Furia.
Yeah, I think it's going to be even easier for them to get a higher placement now, especially because they're not competing against other NA teams during the season. So now they'll have like that surprise factor again. So I think that's going to help them.
Right.
Plus one less EU team, one less NA team. So
true. I always forget about that.
Here's one thing that I'm a little iffy about, but it could happen. We will have 3 out of the 4 top 4 remaining spots at a LAN. So this is like top 4 semifinals. 3 out of the 4 semifinal teams at a major or a championship will be from a minor region. Is this a hot take? Is this a good take? I'm gonna say 6 out of 10, a little bit above neutral, so in that neutral zone. I think it could happen. I want it to happen really bad. I mean, Bob, what you think?
I think it's a guarantee personally. I think we got Falcons in a top 4, we got Fury in a top 4, and we got Limitless in the top 4 right there.
Amen to
right
that.
There.
What you think, Money?
Yeah, I think that's a really hot take because EU's always been dominating recently. EU's been insane. I'll give that like an 8 out of 10.
Greybeard.
You know what? I've been liking what Money's saying, so I'm just gonna fly on his coattails and like, yeah, man, I'm with that guy.
Let's go.
Here's something that Tro said. Tro said the last 2 years APAC's been better than SSA, but right now Limitless looks better than all the APAC teams combined. Greybeard, I don't know how much you watch APAC and SSA both, but do you feel like he's right on that take where this year Limitless?
Do you know what? My answer to him is going to be emotional and agree with him, but in truth, I have not, and that's probably a failing on my part. I've not been watching replays, and I probably should have been doing that. So he's actually made me go. Actually, I want to go and have a look. But I certainly like the take. And do you know what? That's a take that has filled me with optimism, and got me excited. So I'm right behind him with it, just based on that. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go do it. So yeah, I like the take.
The reason why I might agree with him as well is because I think APAC has gotten worse this season. They lost Virtuoso. Actually, is Virtuoso still there? Virtuoso's still there, but they lost Kami. I think OSM, I don't know if he's competing there anymore. So, like, I think they got a little bit worse. The way their roster shuffle happened, I think everyone got a little bit worse. So I think SSA is getting stronger in the opposite regard. So I say it could be better than APAC this season for sure.
Trill also says OCE is the same level as APAC. Sam is doomed compared to 21-22, and Mina is insane. Well, okay. Trill, so you literally with that sentence just said that SSA is better than both OCE and APAC.
Not both. I think you're saying better than APAC. OCE probably slightly better than SSA. I think that is where he's going with that.
Damn. He said APAC this offseason looked disappointing. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happened up there, or it's somewhere in the world. It happened over there. Here's another hot take, guys. Shopify Rebellion earned more, will earn or have earned more money in the offseason tournaments that they will earn in the first split of RLCS. Do you guys agree with that? I want to start with Money.
I need to hear the numbers. So
I don't.
I
don't know the numbers.
I just don't know.
Which did they make?
Let me find these numbers real quick. Let's see. They have made just by the eye test, it looks like somewhere around 30,000 during the off season. So.
But there's only 21. Oh, like for the whole split? Oh, probably because they would have to win.
Actually, it's like closer to 40,000. I lied. It's like 40,000.
Okay, that's tough, bro. That's tough. That's way too tough. They have to win like basically two.
I mean, if they make a major, and they do decent at a major, they would also be making a lot.
That's true, including the major. I didn't count that. Okay. I'd say maybe then. I give that like 50-50. I'll give like a 5 or 6 out of 10 on the hot take.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about that, Bob?
I think it's actually not that hot of a take because they had a very successful offseason and it was very long. So we'll see. It's possible. I give like a 50-50 chance. So yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Okay, this is a lot. There was a lot to digest today. We talked about South America, which is going to be probably the best minor region team in terms of consistency and depth this season, in my opinion. We talked about APAC a little bit. We talked a lot about SSA, which is something I really want to get more into this season. SSA,
yeah, man,
a region I'm very passionate about. So I'm actually going to be doing an SSA team stream broadcast. I think it's with Rabbits. I think I'm getting something Rabbits, if I remember correctly. And we went ahead and talked a little bit about the nonsense that is continuing to be North America, Lord, though I still have an opinion on that. But by the way, G2 is not making championship. I think we discussed that in the last podcast. That ain't happening. Bye G2. GG's. Oh yeah, one thing, Daniel, you are in your peak. You are in your prime. It is 2 years into your career. You cannot go out like this, okay? You are supposed to be entering, if not have entered your prime. You are with a star-studded roster. You don't have to. You can let the other 2v3 and you win. Okay? Get a championship. I am begging you for my hope, for my sanity in G2 and my hope in North America. Lord, if you do not get yourself a championship this year, I'm going to be a BDS fan for the rest of my life. Okay? And that BDS fan is that BDS team with the other two, with Monkey Moon, Drally, and I think it's Exotic or I think it's Exotic, are also better than the G2 roster right now. And I believe that. No, I don't actually. But that team could be better than that G2 roster. And come on, Beast Mode is in the middle of his prime. Atomic is in the middle of his prime. Daniel's entering his prime. The potential for that roster cannot be wasted away. That is my ending monologue. Okay, people? So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into the podcast. Do we have anyone with any last messages for the stream here?
Just thanks for having me on. It's been a blast.
Yeah, Greybeard, thanks for coming, man. Guys, be sure to check out Greybeard. All the links will be in the description down below, whether you're watching it on YouTube or also on Spotify, iTunes coming soon. And yeah, thank you guys for coming out. Bop, any closing words?
Yeah, I mean, thank you to Greybeard as well. Thank you everyone watching. Be on the lookout for SSA this season. I mean, SSA is improving. It's going to be fun to watch them compete.
All right. Thank you so much for everyone tuning in. Stay tuned. We have a lot of exciting things. We got T-Bates on here next week, so we got a whole lot of stuff bouncing for the 50/50 podcast. Thank you so much to Little Joe. I'll make sure to tag him as well. He is the producer for this podcast. So everyone go ahead. If you ever need a producer, either for the open qualifiers, any region, go ahead and look up Little Joe OW on Twitter. DM him on Twitter or on Discord. That is going to be it for me at the Gaming Spot, Mr. Bop Money. And thank you so much to Greybeard for coming on. T-Bates next week, but a whole lot of stuff in between them. It's going to be time to say goodbye.